the desolate, freezing landscape of Siberia. Discover what life is like in the coldest inhabited place in the world on Danger Man Adventures. Meet Jeff Mackley, an extreme adventure cameraman. He spends his life traveling the globe to film the best and the worst the natural world has to offer. He's survived the incredible winds of a hurricane as it drives massive waves inland, and witnessed volcanoes erupting, shooting lava, rocks and gases miles up into the atmosphere. This adventure will be one of his most demanding yet. Jeff is going to attempt to spend a night outside at Oymyakon in Siberia, the coldest inhabited place in the world. Here, temperatures can drop to a staggering -70 degrees centigrade. Jeff will have nothing more than a tent to protect him. It's never been attempted before. To get there, he'll travel across the Russian continent on the Trans-Siberian Express, then drive north through some of the most inhospitable terrain in the world, where breaking down can mean freezing to death. The journey starts at Jeff's home in Auckland, New Zealand, as he begins to pack for the mammoth trip.
Just packing up again and heading to Siberia. It's going to be about -60, so that's what all this gear is for. Thermos for the vodka. This is Mark Fedu. He's a veteran of several climbs of Mount Everest, and he's going to be coming along to make sure that none of us freeze to death.
Mark is a seasoned adventure traveller, and his extreme survival experience could mean the difference between life and death.
And we've got Rachel Wilson here, who's filmed in Antarctica and all sorts of places, so she'll be behind the camera.
Rachel's not shy of adventure either, and has even sailed around Cape Horn. Jeff needs an extremely experienced team with him because in Siberia, the cold weather kills.
I guess -60 is even colder than Everest.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh, it's a hell of a lot colder.
Hell.
I can't wait to see what it's like, but it's just such a temperature that I can't really relate to, so there's only one way to find out. Just go and check it out.
What on earth is that?
This is called an absolute zero suit. That's what we'll need to all be wearing. So we'll be walking around like Teletubbies.
Mark, that is one big old country. What do you reckon?
It's amazing. I mean, you know, this is where we're heading, and this is actually where we're starting, way over here. I mean, it's incredible. So we've got to travel the full breadth of Greater Russia. So yeah, I think it's going to be an amazing trip.
The trio fly to Moscow. They're ready to embark on a 5,000-mile journey across Russia in midwinter to sleep outside in the coldest town in the world.
Oh, we're finally here in Russia, in Moscow, and in Red Square, as a matter of fact. It's pretty cold, a chilly -11, and it's going to get a lot colder than that as we head east. About -60, in fact, Mark. What do you reckon?
Well, I think this is pretty good. This is an amazing place.
We're actually looking for our mate Rob, who's going to be our guide and interpreter, because I can't speak a word of Russian except for vodka and lada. Ah, yeah. G'day, Rob. Hey there, how you going? Thought I'd find you here on the heating vent. This is Mark. He's our cold weather expert, so he'll be coming with us, and Rob's our Russian-speaking expert.
He's going to get us out of those times.
He's going to get us out of all the trouble we're going to get into.
For the next 4 days, the Trans-Siberian Express is going to be home for all of them.
Hey, Rob,
Got a bit of a sore squeeze going on, don't you reckon?
Yes, well, is that all if I put my weight on this? Like the Russians say, my tight fit isn't an offence.
Yep, we're finally off. We're just leaving Moscow station. Beginning of the world's longest train journey. 4,500 kilometres across the frozen wastes of Russia and Siberia. It's going to be sensational. It's 11 o'clock at night, can't see anything. So, yeah. Morning will reveal a very desolate, empty landscape, I think. And it'll be about 30 below zero.
As they enter the heart of mighty Russia, they get the first real sleep they've had in 3 days. The train will pass through 8 time zones on its 2,800-mile journey to Irkutsk in Siberia.
It's very spectacular around here. 1 or 2 towns and 1,000 kilometres of nothingness. It looks pretty cold. So, Rachel, what do you think of the view?
The view's fantastic, but you really should never interview me before I've had a cup of coffee in the morning. Go away.
The train stops for a few minutes in Kirov, 500 miles east of Moscow.
Rather chilly, minus 20, something like that.
Crisp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Heading east, it gets colder and bleaker. As the desolate countryside slips by, the team begin to discuss the realities of the quest ahead.
Minus 50 or minus 60, I can't imagine what it's going to be like.
Do you think the gear that we've brought with us is adequate to cope with that cold? I hope so. If not, it's too late now.
I think we've got enough equipment, you know, I think we've got heaps of kit, but if you just literally stop outside and start to panic about the cold, then you're going to suffer the consequences, I think.
They reckon when it's that cold, any skin that's exposed will actually freeze and burn. Or if you touch something solid, you know, a steel object, your hand will
stick to it
and all your skin will come off, which sounds a little bit ugly.
No doubt. Yeah, you have to. I mean, I think we have to be completely covered. You don't want to be in a scenario where it's going to be, oh, got that wrong.
Yeah.
Mark is an expert in extreme survival, yet even he has suffered severe injuries from frostbite.
You had some trouble on Mount Everest and lost your toes. What happened there?
I was at extreme altitude. I'd run out of oxygen. I'd already been climbing for a long time. I was looking after somebody. I was dehydrated, and consequently, you know, I sort of suffered a severe frostbite. Yeah, I lost all my toes, but for me that's minimal. Unfortunately, the person I was with died. He succumbed to everything that altitude has, and he's a particularly tough character. He'd been to Everest many times.
Where they are heading gets even colder than Everest.
I think the worst thing that can happen is if our vehicles break down or get stuck.
I've tried to anticipate that, and in terms of what we're carrying now, I've got what I would call an emergency cache. We could all, as a crew, rely on to survive more than one night, like many nights if we stayed together. We would not be looking for help, we would actually be staying put. People die from trying to look for help. We've got stoves, we have endless supply of hot water because of the amount of snow around us, and we will survive. I mean, we can go without food for a month. Providing we can make water, we can drink. We're hydrated, we will live. We'll probably look pretty ugly by the time somebody finds us, but we're alive.
Yeah.
Mark's survival training requires him to be prepared for every eventuality that extreme cold can impose. Their 2,800-mile train journey draws to an end, but they still have another 1,800 miles to go before they reach Oymyakon in the north of Siberia.
Welcome to Irkutsk. Amazingly, the train is on time, which is pretty amazing after, well, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 kilometres of Siberian crossing.
From here, they head much further north, where minus 16 will feel like a summer's day. Irkutsk was founded over 300 years ago and is now a thriving city. It can be winter here for 10 months of the year. From Irkutsk, Jeff and the team fly 1,200 miles north to Yakutsk, the capital of Yakutia.
This is Yakutsk, our stopover point on the way to Oymyakon. It's minus 32 degrees here, and the locals say that's warm. But even so, it's twice as cold as your deep freeze at home. Now, if you want to know what minus 30 is like, well, your eyelashes start freezing up. It's actually painful to be outside for more than a few minutes, and that's only half the temperature we have to endure when we get to Oymyakon.
It's so cold here that the ground is permanently frozen. From Yakutsk, they still have a 600-mile overland drive to Oymyakon.
Okay, well, this is it. We're heading off to Oymyakon. We've got two of these four-wheel drive vans, and the reason we need two is because if one breaks down and we get stuck out there, we die. So we've probably got some gear good enough to avoid that from happening, but still, we don't want to get stuck, we don't want to break down. So we've got two vehicles, all specially double glazed. It's actually homemade double glazing, but extra piece of glass, gaffer taped on for the windows. But these guys obviously know how to heat-proof a vehicle, so it's good.
A few miles outside Yakutsk, Jeff gets out his satellite phone to see if any storms are brewing. It doesn't matter where he is in the world, he's always chasing the ultimate storm.
Just trying to set up the satellite phone. The middle of Siberia is not the place to be looking for cyclones and hurricanes, but I still have to keep an eye on the storms, and of course there's no internet connections out here, so it's the old trusty satellite. There's nothing worth chasing after at the moment, so it's on to Oymyakon.
To get to their final destination, they need to travel through some of the coldest and most inhospitable terrain in the world. It's a place where people regularly die from the cold. In winter, it never gets above minus 30. It can be lethal. In 1998, a local family of 4 broke down out here, and despite burning their tires to keep warm, they all froze to death in a few hours.
This vast expanse of ice here that I'm just walking along is actually a river. And it's one of the largest rivers in Siberia, and it freezes over so heavily in the winter that people drive vehicles, trucks and everything along here. It's amazing that a river can freeze over this much. We've even got a big truck driving along there, so hopefully our little van's not going to sink through the ice. It's actually so cold that you squeak when you walk. Everybody's emailing me and saying, how do you go to the toilet when it's minus 60? but I can't find out while you're filming.
They're driving through the region of Yakutia, which occupies most of the northeastern part of the Asian continent. It forms a fifth of the territory of Russia and is larger than France, Austria, Germany, Italy, Sweden, the UK, Finland and Greece all put together. This region of Siberia has a checkered past. Dotted around the area are many gulags, prison work camps left over from the Stalinist era. Millions of political prisoners were sent here for their beliefs.
Not a very good place to be imprisoned, I don't think. We've ridden up here in heated comfort, so I guess the prisoners that were taken up here in the middle of winter would be just in an open truck or something, or...
Yeah, and apparently by the thousands or even hundreds of thousands, they went down this road and actually built the road. What we're driving down now was built by prison labor.
As they continue heading north, it gets noticeably colder. It's only 3 p.m. and it's already getting dark. It's so cold out here that even when drivers stop their cars, they never turn off the engine. If they did, it simply wouldn't restart. And if this happens, the only option is to light a fire under the engine to warm it up. But if it's built too big, the car will go up in flames.
Yep, filling up at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. I don't know how they keep the fuel from freezing. I think the diesel has to be heated because it freezes up. But you seem to have filled up all right. What he was saying is, why do all these foreigners want to come to the coldest place in the world?
Why do we want to come to the coldest place in the world?
Because it's here. And because you've got to step out of your comfort zone from time to time and experience the hottest, coldest, windiest parts of our world, because not that many people ever get to experience those sort of things. So that's why we're doing it. It's there to be done.
They drive through the night. Outside, it's already a mind-numbing 45 degrees below zero. Not a place for a breakdown. After 30 hours on the road, Jeff finally reaches what's known as the Pole of Cold, just outside Oymyakon. It holds the record for the coldest inhabited place in the world. A perfect place to pitch a tent.
Well, we've been driving all night. Actual fact, it's been more than 1,000 kilometres from Yakutsk up to here. We're now actually finally on the outskirts of Oymyakon, which holds the record for the world's coldest inhabited place, which is minus 72 degrees Celsius. Now, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for us, this morning it's only a balmy minus 42. So we're finally here. I've seen this sign in books and on the internet for years, so I've always wanted to come to this place, and now I'm finally here. Although we're pretty tired and we've come a long way, but we don't have an awful lot of time here, so going to get into town and check out what's going on in town.
There are no hotels in Oymyakon, so the team is staying with local resident Valeri and his family.
This is Valeri, Jeff.
Hi. Hi, I'm Mark.
Hello. Jeff.
The challenge that Jeff and Mark have set themselves has never been attempted before. To spend a night outside with only a tent for shelter. First, they must acclimatize to the extreme cold conditions. Without their absolute zero suits, they would freeze.
There's a lot of features in here, like these pockets.
things, because of course it's so cold, you go outside, your water bottle freezes and then you're in big trouble. We'll probably keep things like camera batteries inside here because the batteries will stop working very soon after we go outside.
45 degrees. It says 45 градусов для вас это что? It says that's considered warm in these parts. So 45 below zero. It's a nice warm day in Oymacon.
All right, lovely warm day. Let's go for a walk into the town.
Valeri is a farmer. He keeps horses, a milking cow and a bull. It's demanding looking after animals in this extreme environment.
We're trying to round up the horses, put them in that pen, and then they're going to clean all the ice off their fur, because overnight the ice gets on their fur and then they get a little bit unhappy.
Jeff ponders his own fate.
Well, if the horses can spend a night outside, then I should be able to. They've got an awful lot of fur on them.
There are two main threats to humans from extreme cold: frostbite and hypothermia. Frostbite causes the tissue, skin and blood vessels to freeze, rupture and die. It usually affects the extremities, and the only answer to severe cases is amputation. To protect themselves, the team must keep everything covered. It's extremely difficult to film in these conditions. It's too cold to take their gloves off to operate the equipment. The camera metal is so cold that their skin sticks to it if touched. And even more alarming, the extreme temperature has made the camera so brittle, bits are snapping off.
Well, doing anything is pretty near impossible for very long. My still camera I got off about 6 photos before error messages started coming up, and it's not working now, so I guess it's frozen. It's certainly cold. I've got frost things growing on my hat. If you blink and hold your eyes shut, they would probably stay shut, which is not flash.
Nearly 4,000 people live in Omnicon. And while Jeff is wearing the ultimate absolute zero suit and high-tech boots, the locals wear fur jackets and rubberized sheep's wool boots. Interpreter Rob has followed their example.
I found out that the boots that I came here with were just not sufficient even for a half an hour of standing around this temperature, so I've switched to the local footwear.
Residents even managed to dry their clothes outside. Due to zero humidity, the water in the clothes slowly evaporates. The outside acts as a natural freezer, so the milk is kept here. They also have an unusual way of storing their frozen food inside their homes.
Well, believe it or not, this is actually the inside of our guest's house. And as well as the floor being very slippery, it also acts as a very good natural deep freeze. And this, as you can see, is a rabbit frozen. And we've also got other food items here. We've got rock-solid frozen fish.
It's so cold in here that even butchered meat can be stored safely, without the need for an electric freezer.
Okay, this is a stick-up.
Please stay away from the bunny.
This is the bustling hub of Omnicon, the world's coldest inhabited town. It's actually a balmy minus 43 today. Usually it's down to minus 60 or more. And even the minus 43 is bad enough. This suit is providing pretty amazing protection, but still any exposed skin is pretty painful, and your eyes would actually freeze shut if it got much colder. I don't know how they get on there, but yeah. And as for these goat gloves that the babushka sold me, and told me that my Western manufactured gloves were a load of rubbish, she's actually right. So these are as good as the best gloves they make elsewhere.
Despite all the snow, there's only one source of fresh water in the whole area. It's a short bull ride away. and Danger Man Jeff is nominated to help out.
How hard can this be? I'm mounting the beast. I hope the camera was off then. Having a little bit of trouble with this ball.
Valeri has to break a hole in the ice. His bull drinks first, and then they fill the tank. The bull is vital to Valeri and his family, carrying water to the home every 2 days.
The reason why there's flowing water in a place where all the rest of the rivers are iced up so hard that you can drive trucks across it is because this water's coming from a spring deep below the ground, and it's deep enough down that it doesn't freeze. The water temperature here is about 2 degrees above zero. The other interesting point is that the name Oymyakon actually comes from the local Yakutian language, which means flowing water. So it's kind of ironic that in the coldest place in the world you've got flowing water, which should normally be impossible.
Tonight is the big night. Jeff and Mark will endeavour to stay out overnight in a tent without a fire or heater. Careful preparation is vital. Only a few years ago, 4 Chinese tourists froze to death here. Without their absolute zero suits, Jeff's team could die in as little as 30 minutes. The film equipment also needs protection from the cold. Rachel's concerned that, in these extreme conditions, a 1-hour camera battery is only lasting 8 minutes.
Jeff, seriously, I'm not sure how we're going to go with batteries tonight. Please stay over. Our battery power is going to not last forever tonight.
We're just going to have to shoot what we can get and put the batteries inside our sleeping bags. And they might last a little bit longer, but I don't expect them to go very long at all.
And there's worse news. The cold has shut down the main camera completely.
Well, due to the extreme cold outside, it's all gone pear-shaped. So I'm just going to get a bit of a dry out with a hairdryer.
As the sun goes down, the temperature drops. It's only 4 p.m., but it's already 40 degrees centigrade below zero. Mark sets up the tent close to the house in case of an emergency.
I'm trying to get a bit of a level platform here for a tent. Jeff's come to Oymyakon to experience the cold, and it's really come down to really experiencing it. So we're going to camp here overnight in a tent. And he's been wanting to know what it's like to spend a night out from me, and I've sort of assured him that it should be okay, but I'm actually taking it very seriously.
Mark erects the tent carefully, as the cold makes the material brittle and easy to tear. If the Siberian cold can damage material designed to survive Mount Everest, what might it do to them when they attempt to become the first people to spend a night out here in a tent in midwinter? Before they head out to begin their challenge, they have a meal with their hosts.
Ready.
They perform a ceremony from their ancient shaman religion, which celebrates harmony with nature and the spirits of the earth.
It was a offering to the fire god, so we're going to be protected while we're here in his home and village and safe on our travels.
The food is traditional local fare.
Well, this is actually the first time I've eaten horse, but it's actually very nice. Delicious. course, you have to have some sort of conscience about seeing those nice horses out there this morning, and one of them is now in here, but I guess it's no different to cows and sheep, but we just always associate horses with something that you would not eat, but that's the way it goes up here, so it's fine.
Jeff будет какое кофе?
Coffee, saka and slivka.
Jeff wants some milk for his coffee.
So we don't have any milk in here. They have some outside.
Yep, no worries.
I believe it's in the shed. Oh yeah, it's in the shed. Chonk.
Well,
Are you getting any drops, Joe?
I'm getting nothing.
It's a good thing you made a career out of filming volcanoes. This farm thing is not working out for Jeff.
I'm just having a lot of trouble down here.
It's just enough for a cup of coffee. It's time to kit up. Neither Jeff nor Mark has experienced temperatures this low.
ready to go outside to spend the night in the tent. It's about minus 40 something, 47, so be lovely out there.
I noticed out there, just even putting the tent up, I had to take my gloves off to just sort of manoeuvre the poles into the grommets without fear of breaking anything, and everything is so brittle that things can break. So it's that cold. So if you touch anything like metal or spill water on your clothing, whatever, that could be an issue.
At these incredibly low temperatures, even boiling water behaves in a dramatic fashion.
This is a graphic demonstration of extreme cold. This is a cup of boiling water. Watch what happens when I throw it into the air.
Boiling water freezes 5 times faster than cold water. This is because the boiling water is partly evaporated and forms tiny droplets when thrown into the air that freeze instantly to form ice crystals.
Choice, the tent's up. Looks pretty good.
It's time to get inside the tent. Outside, it's an incredible minus 47.
The sleeping bag's been on so many trips, so many mountains, and I've actually never been cold in this thing.
But he's never tested it in these conditions.
It's pretty cold. I'm actually feeling quite invigorated, so to speak. How are you feeling? This is cold as Everest? Yeah.
The temperature outside continues to plummet. If it were to reach the record low of minus 71.2, they'd be forced inside. To stay outside, they'd certainly die. Even at the current minus 50, it's already too cold to spend any time outside safely. At 3 a.m., Rachel ventures out to check on Jeff and Mark.
Mark, you awake?
Yeah,
How are you feeling?
yeah, good.
The camera lens clouds up in the extreme low temperature. How are the campers faring?
Can you describe the effects of cold on the body? What do you feel?
A sense of lethargy, and your body's beginning to really slow right down as it's reacting to the temperature, and you probably begin to want to just go to sleep. If you let go, it could be all over. You just have to kind of dig deep, really. Keep smiling, think of the good times that you've had, and look forward to the sunrise. And if you get to see that, you know you're going to have some good times after that.
Just checking Jeff's face for vital signs. Can't see frostbite. How about a temperature reading?
Cold.
Look at that. Minus 34.1.
And that's inside the tent.
It's rather cold.
course, your average deep freeze is only -20, so it's like spending the night in a deep freeze.
For Jeff and Mark, the morning doesn't come a moment too soon. The tent is full of frost, and it had become so cold, even the digital thermometer stopped working.
Morning.
Morning, Mark. Alive and kicking.
Hey, Mackley. Yeah? You're not freezing over there, are you?
Wake up, let's have a look at you.
Good morning. It's pretty cold. The main problem was just all night was trying to just keep my face covered up. If you had your eyes exposed, your eyelids would kind of freeze shut. Yeah, the cold, it's quite sore on your face, but we're all still alive.
What do you think about all the frost on the roof, Jeff? Have you had a look at it?
Yeah, it's quite a lot of it. I managed to knock a whole lot onto my head during the night, which was fairly frosty, but I suppose we became the first people to sleep out here overnight. However wise that was.
They pitched themselves against the freezing extremes of the natural world, and they made it. A successful night spent outside in the coldest town on the planet. They managed to endure a biting -34 inside the tent. The effect of extreme cold on their bodies was almost overwhelming lethargy. Physically and mentally, the body begins to shut down. But Jeff and Mark willed themselves to fight it and won. With their quest completed, it's time to say goodbye to Omniacon. They'll never forget this extraordinary place and the incredible people who live in this frozen land. It's been the most testing environment in which Jeff has ever filmed. Thanks to state-of-the-art equipment, a highly experienced team, and some expert local knowledge, he's pulled off another great adventure.
Coming up next on 5, how often do you get to see a man flying through the air wearing his underpants on the outside? Christopher Reeve is Superman, coming up after the news.
The Celtic